A very good evening. This is the Pngtv Live News Bulletin at 7 o'clock. The late Moses Tau's funeral was hosted today in his home village, Barakau. It was not just a funeral, but a celebration of his life where the many who attended shared memories and tributes of the way this musician had touched their lives. PNG music artists played a special tribute on this last entertainer's show to their fellow musician, friend, family, and mostly what he loved to be called by them, Mummy Boss. Pngtv Live attended the funeral and here's Florida Gulaseni with more.
The village was awake as early as possible as vehicles flooded the village from the main city to attend the funeral. Present at the event was Governor for Central Province Robert Agarobe, members of the Lamana Hotel, musicians and artists, families, friends, fans and followers of who the late music icon had shared his life with on and off stage. The casket of the late Moses Moshanti Tau lay in the middle of the crowd, surrounded by his immediate family, who could not hold back their pain of losing such a loved sibling. During the tributes, many shared their life stories growing up with him, some of their fun times together, and others of their life behind the stage together. Governor for Central Province Robert Agarobe says Moses was a man admired for his unique way of entertainment.
About Moses, when I was doing business and trying to market myself as a businessman and market my business, every function I held, I called Moses and he always turned up. And he always gave his bid. And to that, I owe it.
Elena Ono Morea, someone who shared the stage with the late Moses and recorded most of the hit songs known in the Pacific today, says she had most of the best days with the late icon and she will forever cherish.
There was another time when Moses and I sang at a funeral at Roku. We sang for about 3 hours and the coffin was lying in front of us. After singing, Mo turned around and Mo said, "Eli, we've been singing for 3 hours. We don't even know who's in the coffin. Can we spy?"
As the day slowly came to a close, more tributes, acknowledgements and performances were done, followed by the final viewing of the body. The body of the late Moses Tau was then processed to the family cemetery, where he was laid to rest at around 5 p.m. this afternoon. All the last goodbyes, respects and love were sent at sunset as he was lowered to the ground, as he will never be seen on stage, but his voice will be heard as the one and only Moses Moshanti Tau. Florida Gulaseni, Pngtv Live.
Meanwhile, before he was taken to his village yesterday, the late Moses Tau was taken on a last tour throughout the city. A man whose voice placed PNG on the global stage saw many affected by his sudden death. Florida Gulaseni with this update.
The Papua New Guinean stage has become dimmer, for we have lost a star, a gifted vocalist, and a credit to showmanship. The late Moses Tau was finally taken home to Barakau in the Central Province yesterday in a convoy that went around the city of Port Moresby for his fans and friends to pay their last respects. The convoy started at the funeral home at around 1 p.m. to Tatana village, downtown, passing most of the big venues he last performed at, through Vabukori, Pari village, and then through Badili and up to the Bisini grounds, then through Tarama all the way to Barakau. After the show, the late Moses was laid to rest in Barakau village. Pngtv caught up with most of the PNG music artists and musicians who have shared the stage across the world and here in Papua New Guinea with the late Moses Tau, and this is their special tribute.
It's sad, to lose somebody like him. I know a lot of people will be saying this and that, but for us musicians who worked with him for a number of years, we really miss that guy.
His singing is unmatched. His dynamics in performance is unprecedented. He has a class of his own, and the thing I like about Moses that I will always remember, I will always treasure is he has a very beautiful soul.
Moses is a really great entertainer on stage, and off stage he had a really good sense of humor, and we learned a lot from each other. He was one person who just pick up a song on stage while the show is going and just take it to the next level.
Now that it's gone, there's nothing much we can do. Bigla sore na mula kokolenas na sa film. Bigla no stop long way, but maybe by stop one time, stop close to him.
He was an awesome entertainer, someone I looked up to. He could turn a boring crowd into a crazy crowd. Such is life. God gives, He takes, and He took a big part of this industry.
Florida Gulaseni, Pngtv Live.
The PNG Orchid Society has successfully developed an orchid species to be used as the official orchid for APEC 2018. The society says this is the second ever hybrid species developed specifically for an event. Gregory Avera with this report.
The 17th Orchid Show was hosted over the weekend by the PNG Orchid Society. While there were numerous orchids from throughout the country on display, a notable new inclusion was the Dendrobium eosetera, or DEN APEC 2018. Set to be used as the official APEC orchid, the new breed was developed using 4 existing types of orchids in the country.
It's been developed from Papua New Guinea species here, and it's sent to Singapore where they have the act. We don't actually have the culturalization to grow them, and to cross the species. So the two species need to be crossed to develop a different species.
The country consists of over 3,000 orchid species and has had only one hybrid species ever developed prior to the DEN APEC 2018 orchid. Hybrid orchids are simply the result of a cross-pollination process. All it means is that 2 or more different kinds of pollen were used during the planting and nurturing of the specific orchid. The first ever hybrid orchid developed for the country, according to the PNG Orchid Society, was the Dendrobium Camilla to celebrate the visit of Prince Charles and Camilla to the country in 2012.
We also did develop an orchid a few years ago for Prince Charles and Camilla when they came. I'm not sure if most people would remember that visit. And we developed Dendrobium Camilla as well. So now we have developed 2 new species of orchids for special occasions here in Papua New Guinea.
Gregory Avira, PNG TV Live.
The medical benefit concert hosted by La Mana Hotel was a success over the weekend, with many who turned up to raise funds for a good cause. Performing live on a concert were big-name artists Saike Uralom Kania and returning to the spotlight Patti Pottsdoy. Florida Gulaseni with this update.
The night was dedicated to Sir George TELEK, known simply as Telek, Papua New Guinea's most well-known musician, having started a career in the late 1980s with a group known as Pngtv Walk. His career took off after meeting David Bridie from the Australian band Not Drowning, Waving, and together recording Tabaran, a highly successful album. He followed this with his solo album, Telek, outside of Papua New Guinea, which won him an area for the world's best music album. His second international album followed by Amate in 2004. His recent Akave was released through the One Talk music label. Telek is known for singing in his native Kuanua language and talk piecing with 3-part harmonies, characteristics of Tolai. The The night was showered with support as many who turned up knew who he was and what he had done to contribute to the music industry. His name cannot be mistaken if mentioned anywhere around the world. His song sang through generations has lived on, inspiring and influencing music in all its forms, and many he has inspired have joined the path in the industry. Returning back to stage to perform was Patipot's Doi, who wowed the crowd with his songs he performed, sharing the same stage with Telek, followed by current famous Tolai artists Ula Ramkania and Sai K. Those who made an effort to join the cause have been thanked by Lamana for the profits made on the night will go towards meeting the cost of Telek's ongoing cancer treatment. Florida Gulaseni, Pngtv Live.
You're watching Pngtv Live News Bulletin. More after these messages. Welcome back. You're watching Pngtv Live News Bulletin. NCD Paws Supporters braved this Sunday morning as early as 6 a.m. in the nation's capital to participate in the Annual Million Paws Walk 2018 to support our education, awareness and animal care campaigns. Hosted by RSPCA Papua New Guinea along with its sponsors, the event was a success as hundreds of pets together with their owners joined the awareness on the value of pets in their lives. Florida Gulaseni with this update.
The event held over the weekend saw dog owners take their animals walking on designated routes in various parts of the city. Starting at 6 a.m. at the Port Moresby Arts Theatre, Waigani, the pets walked a 3.4-kilometer distance through the Magani Crescent, Sir John Guy's Drive and back to the Moresby Arts Theatre. General Manager of the RSPCA PNG, Helen White, says the event is a fundraiser that brings thousands to help homeless and injured animals who find their way to shelters in the country.
Of the value of pets in our lives and animal safety, making sure that people are educated in the best way to treat their animals, and basically to promote the health benefits too of having a pet in your life.
On the awareness, the 5 basic freedoms of all creatures, great and small, were the highlight of the event. Freedom for hunger and thirst, fear and distress, pain, injury and disease, freedom to express normal behavior and freedom of discomfort.
Well, we have a clinic, so we have people that can look after their dogs. If they're sick, they can bring their dogs in and we can treat them. We have 2 vets at the moment. We also have an education program, so if anybody has kids at school and they'd like to see the education program, we run an adoption program, so if somebody wants to add a fur baby to their family, either cats or dogs, they can come and see us for that too. And we rescue injured and hurt and sick animals. So.
White added that most of the fundraising they do go towards helping the RSPCA continue their vital work in the country.
We have a number of functions during the year. We've just had our longest lunch. And in October we're having, on the same day as our dog show, which is the 13th of October, we're having our trivia night. And then on the 1st of September we're having a jazz night as well. So these are all fundraisers that help us to keep the clinic going.
Great. Thank you.
Okay.
Thank you.
It was the biggest fundraiser of the year, and White encouraged all dog owners in the country to take action, register and get involved to stop animal cruelty in the country. Florida Gulaseni, Pngtv Live.
2 senior staff from the Kumul Petroleum Holdings Limited will be sent on secondment with French oil and gas company Total SA for 2 years. The pair's farewell coincided with the announcement made today by KPHL. Gregory Avera with this report.
Matilda Namarong, Senior Legal Officer, and Ephraim Tami, Senior Petroleum Engineer with KPHL, are set to be based in Paris for 3 months on-the-job training before moving on to Singapore. This is part of a 2-year secondment with French oil and gas company Total SA. KPHL Managing Director Wapu Song, while making the announcement, says this is part of staff development and signifies a milestone in the marketing joint venture for Papua LNG.
This is a 3-month secondment with Total, which eventuates from our heads of agreement that we signed in Singapore some time back.
Song adds Papua LNG, unlike PNG LNG, will be equity marketed, and KPHL has partnered with Total to market the country's share of LNG together. He says the training will enable the pair to have exposure on how other industry players operate globally.
They have already been doing their rounds, talking to all the buyers with the Total team for several months now, and they've just come back, and they will go back to Total head office in Paris for more training before they come back to Singapore on a 2-year assignment initially. But as we signed the heads of shareholder agreement and established the marketing joint venture, that 2 years will extend further.
It's an important day for us because Total and Kumul have decided to join to be able to market their own share of LNG and condensate for Papua LNG. And I believe it's going to be a very successful joint venture.
Following today's announcement, the pair are set to depart for the secondment in June. Gregory Avira, Pngtv Live.
Guangdong province in China will be donating 20,000 doses of anti-malarial drugs to the people of Papua New Guinea. A certificate of donation was signed between the health department recently to the tune of 160,000 kina, witnessed by Chinese officials here in Port Moresby. The drugs are called Artequick. An active ingredient in this drug is known as artemisinin, an organic compound derived from the Artemisia annua plant, commonly known as sweet wormwood. The plant has been used by the Chinese for at least 2,000 years to treat fevers, including malaria. The Director for Health and Family Planning Commission of Guangdong City advised that Artequick has been recognized as being effective in fighting malaria by the WHO and UNICEF. He adds that Guangdong province has eliminated malaria and Vietnam is now using the Artequick program to eliminate malaria. Secretary for Health Pasco Kase says Kiriwina in the Milne Bay province is rolling out the Artequick program, and the Department of Health is watching results closely. Malaria remains responsible for one of the highest rates of deaths in PNG, and Artequick holds hope for seeing a strong decline in this death rate. Kase says, and I quote, "We are seeing good results in this trial with up to 80 to 98% relief experiences on the island." The department is now looking to finalize its report on the trial to brief government on recommended action as soon as possible. You're watching Pngtv Live News Bulletin. More after these messages. Welcome back. You're watching Pngtv Live News Bulletin. Papua New Guinea has called for reforms in the United Nations Security Council so that it is more relevant and responsive to security challenges that are faced in the world today. Leaders of the PAM-8 further discussed tensions with North Korea and the implications this has at the highest level. PNG's stance was highlighted by Prime Minister Peter O'Neill at the Pacific Leaders meeting in Japan in relation to tensions on the Korean Peninsula and reforms of the United Nations Security Council. Mr. O'Neill says there is no doubt that we live in complicated times in the global political context, but it is times like these that the United Nations must work together through global reforms. He adds the crucial issue the world is dealing with today is finding a lasting peace on the Korean Peninsula. Mr. O'Neill says if conflict was to return, there would be serious implications for all nations of the Asia-Pacific region. PNG welcomes negotiations taking place as a means to successfully address the Korean Peninsula issue. World leaders were again reminded of the harm humans have continued to have towards the life in the ocean. Prime Minister of Japan, Shinzo Abe, dwelled on this topic in his address at the 8 Pacific Islands leaders meeting recently in Japan. He told leaders that our ocean is crying out in despair. The Prime Minister also acknowledged the presence of New Caledonia and French Polynesia, who were included in the Palm 8 summit this year. Mr. Abe called on leaders to champion saving the blue more, embracing the same passion by which we urge people to save the green. He says PCBs and shellfish detected in high concentrations in creatures dwelling at a depth of 10,000 meters below the ocean surface. Mr. Abe says these shellfish have decreased in number because the salt water is now less alkaline due to actions by humans in absorbing an inordinate amount of carbon dioxide. Further to this, Abe says in a mere 40 years, marine resources subjected to illegal and reckless overfishing have also increased to 3 times the previous level. He called on leaders to make the palm process a venue for finding solutions for these problems that they all share. He believes that in order to prevent the degradation of our seas and the trampling of the rule of law, we must now move towards action. And to some sporting news, the SPPNG Hunters have claimed their first back-to-back win for the season, defeating the Central Queensland Cupras 18-10. In a gritty performance in front of a home crowd of more than 4,900 at the Oil Search National Football Stadium, halfback Watson Boas sealed the fate of the visitors with a length of the field try in the dying minutes. Florida Gulaseni with this update.
The Cupras, who were fielding former NRL giant Dave Taylor, scored first within the second minute of the first half to rugged winger Junior Kirisom, who bragged over the left-hand corner. The Hunters eventually recovered 10 minutes later with stocky love wire Redley Brower jolting the ball loose from Cupras 35 metres from their try line. He crossed under the sticks in the following play to make an easy conversion for skipper Boas to let the Hunters take the lead 6 points to 4. In a half that witnessed good completion rates by the Hunters, freshman Adene Gabby scored in the 27th minute after sustained pressure in the Cupras half and say the home side extended their lead to 10 points to 4. Quick and strong running from both teams at the midway saw them make good yardage. However, neither seemed capable of stamping the authority in the match, with Thompson Tete and Watson Boas both being held up over the visitors' goal line. The Central Queenslanders applied some pressure of their own in the second half and scored in the 57th through replacement Maipele Moseau. This was successfully converted by centre corner Broadhurst, who locked up the scores 10-all. The Hunters' backline, led by Tete, joined the fray with hard runs from Junior Rao and Willie Minoga. A towering bomb by Boas proved too much for Cupras' fullback Zeke Foster, and the following set of plays saw Rao diving over the left-hand corner for the Hunters. The Cupras were allowed to visit the Hunters' half several times, by handling errors and poor attacking options did not allow them to post points. It was one of those poor grabbers by the visitors that was scooped up by Watson Boas near the Hunters' try line that saw him pin the ears back for a 97-meter dash to score in the 77th minute. His brother Asif failed to convert, which saw the game end in an 18-10 scoreline, with Boas kicking a quarter and Broadhurst with half for the Cupras. In the post-match conference, Hunters coach Michael Maroon praised the defensive effort of his men despite the soft try in the first half, and said this week would be spent reviewing the match footage and identifying areas to improve on. Florida Gulaseni, Pngtv Live.
And that's where we end the news for this evening. From myself and the news team, it's good night.